For nearly 3 years, people in Ashford believed they were dealing with unrelated missing person cases. A college student disappeared after leaving a downtown concert. A bartender vanished after closing the pub. A mechanic never arrived home after working a late shift. An overnight nurse failed to show up for work the following evening. Each disappearance seemed different. Different neighborhoods, different ages, different professions. There was no obvious connection, and detectives worked each case separately. Then everything changed. After heavy spring flooding, workers repairing a drainage canal outside the city uncovered human remains tangled beneath a collapsed concrete culvert. The victim was identified as the missing college student. Before investigators could finish processing the scene, another set of remains was discovered only a few yards away. Within 2 days, 4 bodies had been recovered from the canal. Every victim belonged to one of the city's unsolved missing person cases. The discovery transformed 4 separate investigations into one serial murder case. Medical examiners determined all 4 victims had died from blunt force injuries to the head. There were no signs of robbery. Jewelry remained. Wallets were still present. Phones, however, were missing from every victim. Detectives focused on finding what connected them before they disappeared. Cell phone records, bank transactions, surveillance footage, witness interviews. Weeks passed with little progress. Then an analyst noticed something almost everyone else had overlooked. Every victim had boarded the city's Route 12 bus within an hour of vanishing. Some rode only 2 stops. Others rode nearly the entire route. But every one of them had been captured by security cameras stepping onto the very same late-night bus. Detectives questioned the regular driver. He had worked the route for nearly 15 years. His employment record was spotless. He remembered most of the victims because they rode frequently. He willingly handed over his schedule, cooperated fully, and even volunteered for a polygraph. Nothing suggested he was involved. Police turned their attention to other passengers. Hundreds were identified from old surveillance footage. Most couldn't remember a single ride. But several witnesses independently described the same man. Middle-aged, dark baseball cap, grey jacket, always sitting near the back, always riding to the final stop. Yet no one remembered seeing him leave the bus. Investigators reviewed months of security footage from the transit station. The cameras repeatedly lost sight of the man because one section of the terminal had been under renovation, leaving a blind spot between platforms. He seemed to vanish every time. An enhanced image of his face was released to the public. Thousands of tips flooded in. Several people believed they recognized him. Every identification was ruled out. The investigation stalled. Nearly a year later, another body surfaced nearly 20 miles downstream after seasonal rains raised the canal's water level. The victim had disappeared only 6 weeks earlier. Again, surveillance confirmed the victim had boarded Route 12 shortly before vanishing. The task force doubled in size. Underwater search teams combed miles of the canal. Divers recovered backpacks, clothing, phones, and personal belongings from the muddy bottom. Some belonged to the known victims. Others belonged to people who had never been reported missing. The discovery raised a terrifying question. How many victims were there? Forensic testing produced DNA from several unknown individuals, but years underwater had destroyed most of the evidence. The samples were too degraded to identify a suspect. No fingerprints survived. No murder weapon was ever recovered. No witness ever saw an attack. Investigators followed every promising lead. A former transit employee, a security guard, a rideshare driver, a man living near the canal. Each theory collapsed under scrutiny. One by one, the suspects were eliminated. Today, Route 12 still runs through Ashford every night. New buses have replaced the old fleet. The station has been renovated. The blind spot where the mysterious passenger repeatedly disappeared no longer exists. The families finally recovered their loved ones and were able to bury them. But the killer has never been identified. Detectives still believe the answer is hidden somewhere in the thousands of hours of surveillance footage collected over those 3 years. Because whoever murdered those passengers understood one simple truth. People remember who gets on a bus. Very few remember who quietly gets off.